to one of America's most beautiful civic tableaus. Paul Spadafora, the Pittsburgh kid of this era, prepares to take on the Romanian veteran Leonard Dorin. Between the two of them, they hold 2 of the 3 lightweight championship belts, although legitimately the champion of the division is the man who holds the 3rd belt, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Mayweather's talking about moving up to 140. Spadafora claims if he can't get a Mayweather fight, he'll do so also after this fight. The only guy among the 3 belt holders who claims he's going to stay at 135, win or lose, is Leonard Dorin. Larry Merchant, Paul Spadafora is an unbeaten fighter. He's beaten a couple of pretty good fighters, yet there is skepticism throughout the boxing world about his quality as a champion. Why is that?
Well, there's even some skepticism here in Pittsburgh, Jim. Nationally, he is viewed as some kind of local phenomenon, like a strange beer they haven't tasted. The supposition is he's a protected fighter who hasn't faced the stiffest competition, that he has been protected by fighting at home constantly, and also he is a pure boxer in an age when there are very few fans who are purists. Locally, they wonder, maybe that's all true, but especially they feel we haven't had a serious fighter come out of Pittsburgh in 2/3 of a century. Can this kid be the one? They can't believe it. Maybe he can change perceptions tonight.
Yeah, a local guy walked up to me last night and said, you know, he's going to get knocked out. I said, the other guy only has 7 knockouts in 21 fights. He says, I don't care. He's going to get knocked out. Skepticism beyond what you might expect. Emmanuel Stewart, it's Spadafora, who is a sophisticated counterpuncher, against Dorin, who's an all-out, straight-ahead body destroyer. Neither of them has a big knockout punch, so this is going to be an action fight, right?
It's going to be an action fight, but I think it's going to be one that's going to go down the wire. It's interesting because both guys are world champions, and both guys are undefeated. Neither guy's ever lost a fight. But I think the fact that both guys are expecting the other guy to throw so many punches, because that's all they've spoke about. He throws 100 punches around, so I've got to throw more. It means it's going to be a lot of punches thrown. And the fact that Spadafora, even though he is a better technical boxer, he doesn't utilize a lot of fancy footwork moving around the ring. So it means he's going to be in range for Dorin to punch at, even though he may be missing a lot. So it should be a very exciting fight.
Dorin doesn't care how pretty he looks. He just wants to get a glove on you somehow. And as for Spadafora, he's adept at keeping those gloves away. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. And you will see that Spadafora has a height and range advantage. He's 6 years younger than Dorin. He's 5 inches taller than Dorin. He's got a 4-inch advantage in arm length, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in within a half pound of the 135-pound limit. And this time, both fighters are in pretty doggone good shape, as you can see from the fact that Spadafora's only put on 6 pounds since last night, and Dorin's only put on 7 pounds, neither of them having to rehydrate enormously to make up for lost weight. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Paul Spadafora Leonard Dorin fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim!
All right, Harold, if you saw Leonard Dorin's title-winning effort last year in San Antonio, Texas against Raul Balbi of Argentina, you saw one of the all-out action fights of the year. Dorin landed nearly 500 punches. Not an easy thing to do.
You can't box your way out of East Europe and make your way to America. We've seen other East Europeans like Girov and like Costazu. They come to fight.
And a closer look at the Romanian from Montreal.
He was an outstanding amateur, a world champion, 2 bronze medals, won over 200 amateur fights. The first we got a look at him was in his first fight with Balbi, and it was a non-stop action fight in which he landed over 400 punches. In the rematch, he won a dominating fight, and he says he's willing to bleed to win. When he went back with the rematch to Bucharest in Romania, they had what they call Leomania, they think he can be on a par with such great Romanian athletes as Ilie Nastase and Nadia Comaneci.
Now here is the latest great fighter, or so his fans would say, from Pittsburgh. The distance, you recognize the chance that Dorin is taking in coming here to fight him on his home turf. Closer look at Spadafora.
He is called the Pittsburgh Kid because Billy Conn was the first Pittsburgh Kid. But his friends call him Spit, as in spitting game, his ability to talk. And here you see his rare boxing style, something of Chris Bird, something of the pure boxer who stands in front of opponents and using his body and his eyes and his head movements to avoid punches and upset opponents' timing.
All right, ring announcer Sean Matheny will quiet things down for the introductions.
This is the feature attraction of the evening and sanctioned by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. Your judges are Gary Merritt of Muncie, Indiana, Guillermo Perez Pineda of Panama City, Panama, and Pat Russell of La Mesa, California. Your man in charge, working in this, his 100th championship title fight. Please welcome from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, referee Rudy Battle. And now, Michael Acree Boxing Promotion, DeBella Entertainment, in association with Perfect 10 Magazine, Pittsburgh Brewing Company, and Everlast, bring you the main event of the evening. It's time to lace up and throw down. 12 rounds of boxing for the Unified Lightweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first, boxing out of the blue corner and wearing the blue trunks. He weighed in at the lightweight limit of 135 pounds. He is undefeated, 21-0 with 7 knockouts. From Ploiești, Romania, now fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, the 1992 and 96 Olympic bronze medalist and WBA lightweight champion of the world. Please welcome Leonard Dorin. And his opponent, boxing out of the red corner and wearing the black trunks. He weighed in at a fit and ready, 134.5 pounds. He is undefeated, 36 bouts, 14 by knockout. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the IBF and IBC lightweight champion of the world, the Pittsburgh Kid, Paul Spadafora.
Gentlemen, you both received your pre-fight instructions. I expect a clean break at all times. Watch your low blows, watch your holding and hitting. Are there any questions? All right, touch gloves. Let's have a nice clean fight. Touch them up.
This fight is going to look like a bowling ball going after an elusive bowling pin.
Well, that should be breathless excitement for bowling fans. Spadafora, as you see, southpaw style, works behind the jab, doesn't really land it all that often. It's more about how many he throws. It's hard to land your jab effectively when you're going backward, and Spadafora usually is. Dorin stepping inside range and hitting Spadafora upstairs. Not nearly so much his game as is the body attack. Spadafora with a right hand to the body, trying to stem Dorin's rush, and now a double to the body, right and left, and Spadafora makes his mark.
Keep him up in there.
But Spadafora is not doing much moving around. He stands very close and really not using his height too much. So it's going to be an interesting fight. In fact, both of them are fighting more like they're punchers, you know, even though neither one has many knockouts.
Hard right hand by Dorin on the chest of Spadafora. Spadafora standing and fighting more than one might normally expect.
Yes.
I think that because Dorin holds his hands so high, he's also been throwing more body punches.
Dorin blocking Spadafora's stuff with his elbows and lands a right hand on the chin that backs Spadafora up.
Spadafora's not using his height at all. He's still doing some of his little Pernell Whitaker type angle and moves, but not much of that even.
And there you saw Spadafora effectively duck the right, but he caught the left twice. And Leonard Dorin, I think, has surprised Spadafora by attacking him upstairs and generally disdaining the body early.
Both fighters' faces already reddened.
Another hard left hand from Dorin.
But Dorin seems to be maybe a little bit more effective with his short, accurate punches when he gets in close.
Well, there's no question whose punches have more impact. I mean, Spadafora is pawing compared to Dorin. And now Spadafora corks him with an uppercut. Uppercut again works for Spadafora. And again. Body shot and uppercut by Spadafora. Dorin with a 1-2 upstairs. Another combination. Fast-paced fight in the first round. Both guys landing. Dorin has had more connects, or so it would seem.
Yeah, but this looks like this has a negative of being another slugfest.
Dorin has been in these kinds of fights,
yes,
and Spadafora hasn't.
Nice round. Get a little more of a rhythm. Don't wait for him. Keep working your hands like you're doing, and those uppercuts off your hooks, all right? A little grease. I got it right there. Just, all right.
Put your hands up on the inside.
Look, those uppercuts inside. You go to the body, go to the head. I like the way.
All right? You hear me? I want to see some speed, Leonard. Don't stand there giving him free punches. You hear me? I want to see that straight right and right in the middle. Drop your head on this side. Drop your head. Quick right.
Spadafora landed 2 good uppercuts. In fact, probably the most effective punches of the entire round.
Yeah, and I think his body punches were also very effective, Emmanuel.
Some of these rounds might be difficult to score because of the way the styles complement each other. Dorin was 34 out of 77 by CompuBox numbers in that round. Spadafora 20 out of 90. He threw 37 jabs. He landed only 1. As we mentioned, Spadafora throws the jabs, but doesn't really try to land it all that often. Dorin 31 out of 60 power shots. That's because he gets close and tries to make his punches count. Just like that. Spadafora momentarily holding as Dorin just keeps firing. Now the body shot by by Dorin. Spadafora doubles to the body. Dorin comes back upstairs. Chess match up and down between the two fighters. I'll go up, I'll go down. You went down, I'll go up. That kind of thing.
But it's still giving Dorin a much better chance of winning than it would be if Paul would box him at a bigger distance. He seems to be throwing so many short punches, which means that he's getting in too close. And he's landed some good body punches himself sometimes, but guys like Dorin who holds their hands up high like that, they're used to absorbing shots to the body. In fact, they virtually give you the body.
One thing is clear so far, Emmanuel, midway through round two. Spadafora, as yet, hasn't been able to get Dorin off balance and pushing his punches the way he did with Angel Manfredi so successfully here before.
No, he hasn't. And as Larry said earlier, it seems like he hasn't got his rhythm yet. He's actually fighting and instead of boxing. And Dorin has been in those type fights so many times.
Against Albee last year, it was Dorin who lost the first few rounds and then managed to come on. Here, it is Dorin who is the aggressor early and landing the harder punches, and Spadafora is starting to find more opportunities to do his thing, which is to counter.
And that's good. When Spadafora fights like that and then moves off and angles away, that's the way he should keep fighting.
Good fight. Active fight from both fighters. They know they're on Boxing After Dark. They've come to throw punches.
Get off him. Step back. Stop. Corner.
June 7th, World Championship Boxing returns as Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward get set for the third showdown in the past 14 months. Ward won the first meeting, voted 2002 Fight of the Year, flooring Gatti with a vicious left hook late in the fight. Gatti got his revenge last November, capitalizing on a third-round knockdown, which Ward claims burst his eardrum. The next chapter of this great rivalry will be written June 7 right here on HBO. For 30 years, building legends, one round at a time.
Throw the hook, he's dropping his head there, go with that uppercut, okay? Put something behind your jab, but jab, Leo.
I want to see speed, Leo. Just relax and let the punches go, man.
Very, very nice.
All right, seconds out.
Give me another round like that.
You might have caught the number. It appeared briefly on the screen. In 2 rounds, by CompuBox numbers, Spadafora has thrown 169 punches, and Dorin has thrown 168. If they keep that up, we're going to have another time capsule fight.
Yes, and if Spadafora can get back to boxing like he was at the end of the last round, punching and moving away when he finishes up, he could widen the gap.
Watch your head.
Spadafora is doing tremendous body work here.
Yes, he is.
And Dorin is starting to bleed around the right eye. He's got a cut apparently right on the eyelid, or the eyebrow, I should say. And this is not new for Dorin. He cuts and bleeds in most his fights.
He said, I'll bleed to win. He's got the bleeding part down.
Hard shot by Dorin. Spadafora momentarily wobbled by a right hand. Gutty Spadafora comes back, takes another hard shot. Remember, as you look at these seemingly jolting shots from Dorin, he's only got 7 knockouts fights in 21 fights.
And thank God for that, because he's landed some good, clean shots. If he was a big puncher, I think Spadafora would be in trouble.
He'd be on the canvas.
No, if he was a big puncher, he'd be fighting him differently. He wouldn't be afraid to stand in front of him the way he is.
You're right.
Spadafora shaking his head. Dorin has taken the fight to him here in the third round. Feeling the blood on his eyebrow, Dorin may feel a sense of urgency as he's going after Spadafora hard.
That could be a nasty cut.
Great left hook or left cross uppercut combination by Spadafora. Dorin chokes him with a straight right hand. Rudy Battle doesn't even have time to wipe off the gloves. Crowd is chanting Spatty, 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 trying to lift their fighter. Dorin is hammering him from pillar to post. Hard right hand shot right under the chin by Dorin.
Got butted.
Oh, yes.
Give me a towel.
Oh, great.
You look great.
So there's a cut on Spadafora's left eyebrow.
Stay inside and just spin on him.
That was from a punch. Hit you with the uppercut. No uppercut gonna get in there. And listen, that right shoulder hook inside, Leonard. Yes. Uppercut and right shoulder hook. You hear me, Leo?
Yeah.
He's shut. He's ready to go now.
He's playing your game, Leo. He's playing your
What is happening after Spadafora finishes up his punches, he's leaning in there too close. And Dorin, with his short arms, is catching with a lot of the punches. Always at the tail end usually. Not when they're punching, it's when they finish punching.
Dorin threw an even 100 punches by CompuBox numbers in round 3. Landed 45 of them. 39 out of 97 power shots. Spadafora 28 out of 86. But only 6 out of 35 jabs. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Objection! 29-28. 2 rounds to 1. Leonard Dorin. Jim, Paul Spadafora is still not fighting Dorin's fight. In other words, standing in the middle of the ring and training with him, just like we're seeing now, not using much movement at all, and Dorin's out punching him in rounds 1 and 3. Spadafora out punched him in round 2. Jim, one of the most important guys in this arena right now is Bob Miller, the cut man for Dorin, very experienced because he knew Dorin bleeds in every fight.
Why is Paul Spadafora fighting the fight he's fighting, Manny?
I don't know. I mentioned that before the fight. I said the reason is going to be interesting because even though he's a more technical boxer, he doesn't use his feet much. I think early in one of the broadcasts, he mentioned something about he'd been shot in his leg or something that happened. So therefore, he has good elusive moves, but he doesn't really move too much. And in this particular fight, maybe the weight is taking its effect on him, losing the weight. He looks weak.
I just, first of all, there's blood now coming off the left eye of Spadafora.
Break.
Second of all, I just think they went in here calculated to do this because they thought that with his excellent conditioning for this fight, that he was not going to be able to stay away from this guy the way he has stayed away from others, and so he is elected to fight this kind of fight.
Spadafora got a huge cut under his right eye in his last fight against Dennis Holbeck of Denmark. Made it through easily because the cut was under his eye, and he dominated the last 7 rounds of the fight. Now both fighters are cut above the eyes. Dorin over the right eye, Spadafora over the left eye, and apparently under the eye as well. And Dorin is beating Spadafora to the punch.
And it's amazing. They're both throwing a lot of punches, but they're not punching in the blazing combinations compared to small guys.
And Dorin's right eye has not bled at all in the first 2 minutes, 20 seconds of this round because he's knocking Spadafora back.
After Spadafora finishes up with his punches, he's standing right there. And his height advantage, he just will be 5 feet 4, the same as Dorin the way he's fighting. He's got a 5-inch advantage in height that he's not even utilizing.
heard Leonard Dorin's trainer, Spadafora.World, saying he's playing your game. And it couldn't be said any better. And now Spadafora goes back to playing his own game momentarily. And Dorin steps forward and says, no, none of that.
No. Spadafora's legs doesn't look too good as compared to Dorin's legs.
And Spadafora eats a right hand as that round comes to a close. 4 out of 12 rounds in the books.
Get him out, please, Tommy. Hey, let me see that. I got that, Tommy. I got that. Go ahead. Get it. Pick these up. You got a jab, you got a box, and you got to use your speed, baby. Pick these up. Pick what up? Yeah, combinations, baby. I got the pass right there, Jerry.
Body, man. Left hook to the body now. I want you, now it's time to double up that body and head. Left hook, you know that MW? Yeah. You hear me?
Spadafora is not used to fighting at this pace.
No, and
he's not used to getting hit as much. So you wonder whether he can sustain whatever plan he has or whether he's going to have to change back to his more natural style.
I don't think he can change now. I think he's got into a pattern and the rhythm and flow of the fight. It's not going to, I think, permit him to change that much. If he would box and keep everything at a certain distance, he could work very effective.
Well, if Spadafora can find a way to win this fight, he will shed some of his reputation as a softballer.
Well, not only that, but if he fights a 12-round fight like this and loses, it won't hurt him.
Except maybe here in Pittsburgh.
Keep him up.
I'm not suggesting it's not better to win than to lose. I'm suggesting that if he becomes an action fighter, that makes up for a lot.
Well, I agree. It's as much the way you fight as whether you win. The experience of a lot of fighters will demonstrate that in their relationships with the public.
Seemingly Spadafora's corners told him to try to box more this round. He seems to be trying to put a distance between him and Dorin right now and finish up his punches and box when he finishes up.
Pretty good idea. Dorin has been limited mostly to one punch at a time in this round after having landed combinations freely in the fourth. Spadafora hasn't been able to use that uppercut effectively since the second round. It was his money punch in round 2. Dorin comes in with his head low. There's the uppercut attempt. It was a little short. Hard right hand by Dorin. Spadafora taking some leather and showing some guts.
Keep him up. Nice and good.
As long as Spadafora can keep him fighting at this distance right here, he's winning the round. I'm just wondering at the end of the round is when he usually gets caught with those flashy punches that usually catches the attention of the judges.
A moment ago you saw Spadafora land a double right hook and then step aside. That's vintage Paul Spadafora.
Yes. Good body punches in that too.
Very good body shot. Yeah. Now he takes 2 more right hands upstairs.
Hold up. Let him out. That's it.
Stamina is going to become a factor. These guys are working awfully hard for round 5 of a 12-round fight.
This was a good round for Paul.
But he's had to pay a price to win it, Manny. He's taking more leather than has probably ever been the case in Spadafora's career for the purpose of winning rounds.
Hold up. Let him go. Hold around.
Very bad round, man. Right? Because you follow him, you hit the leg to the head.
You see it?
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Leonard, you hit the leg to the head, man. Okay. What do we do with that hand? What did I say that hand should be? He catches you with all the right hook. Okay. It goes here when you throw the right hand. Give me some room. Leonard.
What's that? Pick this up. Get some water. I got it, Tom. Put some water.
Listen, like that. You swallow some water. You understand?
Box this
you
kid,
box
baby.
like that, and you win every fucking round. You understand me? You keep boxing like that now.
Give him some water in the trunk, stop.
All right, I'm gonna box all night.
Box
That's
all
right.
night.
You box all night.
Showcase,
Box
baby.
all night, that's all. Using that jab and
I can
boxing.
do it, I can do
That's
it.
right. You can definitely do it, baby. You can do it all night long, baby. Box this boy. Hey, Paul.
Round 5.
Spadafora's trainers, Tom Yankello and Jesse Reed, are telling him to box, and he says he can do that. And if he does that, the fight's going to be much, much, much closer. But I know Dorin, he's going to come on at the end once he realizes he's falling behind and losing control.
Tommy Yankello is the trainer who groomed Spadafora into his style here in Pittsburgh. Jesse Reed is a finisher, a guy who is brought in to take it to the higher level, a veteran of the sport. Jesse took Spadafora to California for 4 weeks before this fight because he wanted to show him that he could stand up to the guys, most specifically the African-American fighters in LA gyms. And he said he did well.
Box with the best.
Round 5, I was going to say earlier, was Spadafora's best of the fight in that it's the first time he outlanded Dorin 26-23 in Connect. And now Spadafora's confidence begins to grow.
Now, if he keeps fighting like this, Sheriff, it's a very good chance he can win the fight. Keeping that distance between them.
Right. Let him go. Step back. Nice and calm. No hold. Watch your head. Watch that head.
By the time this round has ended, Paul Spadafora will have been hit with more punches in this fight, according to CompuBox numbers, than he has ever tasted before, and will be halfway through the fight.
He's getting hit, but still by making the angles and turning and pivoting a lot the way he's doing, and finishing up by being on a defensive mode when he finishes his punches now. He's doing a lot better defensive-wise, and as a result, I think he's winning this round too. So it should give him 2 good rounds in a row.
When you look at the process of getting inside against the opposition, Dorin is like the guy who's going to shove 3 people out of the way to go through the door. There's no finesse in what he does.
No.
He's just coming.
He has no choice at 5'4".
Hard right hand.
When Dorin fought his last fight in Romania, 80% of the television sets in the country tuned into the fight.
Right now they're watching it at 6 a.m.
Correct.
Hard right hand again by Dorin, and Spadafora was momentarily stunned by that.
Dorin is not a big puncher, but also I think Spadafora's got a good chin.
Nice.
Well, Manny, you said that you think Paul Spadafora has a good chin. Here's a look at it against clean shots from Dorin.
I think it's a combination of both of them, because even though he may not be a big puncher, Dorin is landing some good clean shots. I mean, especially when he's catching right after he pulls up with his head straight up in there.
Seesaw battle through 6. But at the end of the day, craft usually wins. And minute by minute, you can almost feel Paul Spadafora's craft becoming a bigger factor in the fight.
Yes, you can, Jim. Each round, and seemingly he's got his rhythm now for the first time. He's boxing, he keeps a nice distance right now. He's working his jab, shooting his body punches, and finishing up by always angling his body.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I don't know about that. 58-56, 4 rounds to 2, Leonard Dorin. You know, Paul Spadafora lets this guy inside, and then the guy doesn't work, he loses the round. That's what happened in the 5th. But Dorin came back, landed good right hands in the 6th round, and busted up Spadafora again.
Get off him, get off. off.
I gave the last round to Spadafora.
Nice and clean.
And that brings us back to a point made earlier in the fight that a lot of these rounds will be hard to score because of the ring generalship of Spadafora against the all-out aggression of Dorin.
And after he wins real good, he always get caught with that one punch that looks so good, particularly with him being tall and his head is up in there. So he may land 5 or 6 good punches with that one punch, but it looks so bad. And it's going to be very impressive to the judges, which means it's going to be very difficult to score.
His toes, bouncing a little bit. Doesn't do that all that often. Emmanuel Stewart mentioned early in his professional career, Spadafora faced a 2-year interruption after he was in a car with somebody who elected to try to drive away from a police stoppage, and ultimately a shot was fired from the police car and it went through Spadafora's Achilles tendon. And he says that helped to define his stand in one place, elude you with defensive skills style.
And you know something that's interesting is I'm looking at this fight very close now. Even when Spadafora is boxing out, that he really don't land a lot of time clean punches. He just lands, you know, it looks good. And a lot of the real effective blows still are being landed by Dorin.
Well,
it'll be another one of these similar to James Toney type scoring fights when he fought a few weeks back.
Dorin's manager, Yvonne Michel, made a public controversy about the selection of judges here. And we'll talk about it as the fight goes on and we move toward the inevitable or seemingly inevitable decision.
I got that from.
Oh, you got to quit going out. Stay in and work them. And work the jab. It's good. He's punching and going out. Punching and going out. You got to do the same.
That's right. Jab. Yeah. Keep that left hand on top. You see, when you start to the body, come to the head, it works good, Leo. Inside, ground on the floor, short combination, like you did flurries of punches. And I want to see the hand, that right hook at the end. When he gets close to you, short right hook inside. He's always off balance close to you. You hear me?
This is a perfect example right here. A little short, accurate pinpoint punches that may not be flashy all the time, and a lot of times they're doing a lot of damage because he's punching right between the gloves.
4 years ago,
Nice and clean.
Dorin was a sparring partner for Spadafora as he was preparing for a big fight. Dorin got $400 a week. Tonight, he and Spadafora will make $400,000 apiece.
CompuBox numbers in round 7. Dorin doubled Spadafora in landed punches, 33-16. It's going to take a lot of commitment and guts for Spadafora to stay in there and do what he has to do offensively to win this fight.
That's it, upstairs. Hold on. Keep it clean on the break.
One non-controversy was the selection of the referee. Dorin's manager saying, yeah, we're fine with Rudy Battle. And so far, Battle hasn't been a factor as he's basically let him fight. And what a fight it's been. How would these guys do against Floyd Mayweather, Emmanuel?
Well, I think the speed element would be too much for both of them. They're busy guys, but neither one is really punching with any real blazing combination in the hand speed, I think, for some small guys. Neither one of them are fast enough, I think, to hold over a guy like Floyd.
Would Dorin's sheer resolution force Mayweather to fight more than Floyd likes?
Yeah, but I think he's still a little too slow. I mean, he's coming in, but Floyd is a little too slow, and that would be a big factor. See, Dorin puts slow pressure. It's not like a type of guy that walks in with very fast pressure. It's a very slow pressure.
Everybody wants to pressure Floyd. It's not easy to do.
No.
Jose Luis Castillo was able to do it, particularly in the first fight, because he's much bigger. Neither of these guys is particularly bigger than Floyd.
No. Floyd is bigger and faster, and probably a little bit more skillful also.
But on the other hand, Floyd may never be in a fight this entertaining. Doesn't get hit enough.
This is interesting, this round here. Dorin is landing the real clean short punches right there. And a lot of time from a distance and probably up in the balcony, it looks very good the way that Paul is punching. But the real effective punches are still coming from Dorin right now.
And it looks like Dorin's sheer physical strength is gradually wearing Spadafora's will down. Spadafora just not able to do as much in the last 2 rounds. World heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis returns to the ring June 21 as he takes on Canadian Kirk Johnson live on HBO.
Dorin.
This is Lewis's first ring appearance since his thorough annihilation of Mike Tyson last June. Also on that card, Vitaly Klitschko looks to keep his name in the heavyweight mix as he battles unbeaten prospect Cedric Boswell. HBO Boxing for 30 years, building legends, 1 round at a time.
He's okay, Doc. Ain't nothing, baby. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sit over there. You need these rounds, though. Go combinations. Let's get the.
You got 4 rounds, baby.
Hey, when you go out, spin the back leg. Don't go straight to the jab. Yo, fake. Keep that shoulder in the back. Try to knock him out with that right hand. Second shot. He's ready to go down. He's got no more legs.
CompuBox numbers in round 8. Dorin 24 out of 71. Spadafora 13 out of 75. We're in Pittsburgh, Paul Spadafora's hometown. You can see that Harold Letterman has Leonard Dorin with a solid working margin on his scorecard. The 3 judges who ultimately wound up scoring this fight: Gary Merritt of the state of Indiana, Pat Russell from the state of California, and Guillermo Perez Pineda of Panama. Remember, 2 governing bodies, belts at stakes.
Spadafora's bleeding over both eyes, which has probably been for the last 3-4 rounds has been over the right eye. 2 cuts around the left eye, above and below. And the doctor was in the corner speaking to him, and now there's an urgency, I think, from Spadafora's corner that they may even stop the fight based on cuts.
It would be a bitter pill to swallow for an unbeaten fighter in his hometown.
Yes.
I don't see that the cuts are that bad, Emmanuel.
No, I don't think so neither. But you know, different doctors in different places have different reactions. Some doctors are not really boxing doctors.
I don't think the cuts are really affecting the way he fights. Dorin is affecting the way he fights.
And I think Spadafora is doing pretty well right here.
Get off him. Here I am. Let him go. Nice and clean.
Dorin blocking a lot of Spadafora's stuff. Spadafora letting his hands go in combination. Lashing out with the left hand, Spadafora. Dorin has a resolution and a sheer sturdiness that suggests to you he could fight 30 rounds.
Yeah, he looks much stronger, but Dorin is not really landing much this round. He's moving in, he looks fresh, he looks stronger. but he's still letting Spadafora out-punch him at this stage of this round here.
Well, Spadafora has taken a couple more risks this round, and it's paid off. He's managed to get some rhythm back, ducking and slipping here and there. Every once in a while, Dorin just puts him in jail and hammers him. Crowd applauding as Spadafora slips away.
Excellent round for Spadafora.
Storm. Give some water and struck.
Okay, get close. Bounce on your jab. Get close with it with the right hand. As soon as you close, I want to see the right hook here. Yeah. As soon as you get close, short right hook, follow with the left hand. Keep digging the right hand to the body.
You want speed. You forgot about speed, Bill. Speed and touch chin. Yeah. Don't knock him out now. Touch chin, okay?
CompuBox numbers supporting Larry Merchant's assertion that the 9th was a good round for Spadafora. In that round, he's the one who landed 29 punches, nearly doubling Dorin's 15. Spadafora set that up by throwing 37 jabs and landing 10 of them. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, you know, there's no question that Paul Spadafora outboxed Leonard Dorin in the 9th round, but even still, 87, 84, 6 rounds to 3, Leonard Dorin. He's taking it to Paul Spadafora. He's got a better cut man. Spadafora's cuts are bad, Larry. The blood is going into his eyes, and he can't see that right hand coming. And Emmanuel's right. The hard right hands are coming from Dorin.
I have the score 5 rounds to 4. I think it's a much closer fight. And there's one round I'm still wondering about, which I gave to Dorin.
They're trading shots at close range. You're in Paul Spadafora's hometown with an ecstatic Spadafora crowd cheering everything he does. Dorin gets away with 2 punches right on the belt line. Rudy Battle says keep him up.
Keep him up, boss.
Now Spadafora below the belt line. Crowd loves that. Begins to paw at the left eye.
Break.
As the blood does seem to begin obscuring his vision of Dorin's right hand. And Dorin, conscious of it, comes forward to try to throw the right again.
Spadafora, even though he's landing punches a lot of times, even with power, he just looks physically so weak in his legs even when he starts moving away. His body looks like he's worn out.
He's wobbling. He is big time wobbling now. Now Spadafora seems to find his legs momentarily again. But he's a little stiff as he bangs Dorin with a right hook. Downstairs and up. Straight left hand. Another straight left hand. Spadafora trying to rescue himself with accurate power punches.
It's going to be a real rough fight to score because Spadafora is getting hit, but then he lands punches a lot himself still. And Dorin is coming in. He looks so fresh, looks strong, and sometimes judges go along about that just the way a guy looks. But for actual punches, Spadafora is fighting him punch for punch.
Let him go. Nice and clean. Step back.
I agree that Dorin has landed the flashier big punches, but I think Spadafora has held his own with his body punching and with some of his shorter punches.
Beautiful round, beautiful. Leonard, stop being the nice guy, okay? This guy wants you bad, he wants you live. Stop being the nice guy, all right?
We're
going to championship round. No more friends now, it's over, all right?
Yeah.
Hey, Leonard,
He's waiting for you with that right hook to the head. Yes. You know that.
Yes.
Can you give me speed on the right hand? You tease with your jab like you do now. On your toes.
Deep breath.
Right hand to the body, left hook to the head, very fast.
Speed right now.
All
combinations, 4 and 5 punches at a time. You got me,
Listen,
baby?
we need 100 punches this round, baby. We need 100 punches. All punches.
Yes.
Yeah, he got a punch.
Hey, the only punch he's trying to throw is the overhand right. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. Here's fast. Here's fast, baby.
Combinations, baby. All right.
Tommy Yankello with a final urgent word to his fighter Paul Spadafora before he left the corner. Yankello saying, remember your training. Dorin trying to help Spadafora to forget everything he knew coming into the fight.
Break. No hitting on the break. Step back.
And now the blood again begins to flow from the left eye of Paul Spadafora. And you heard Harold's comment, Dorin has a better cut man. It's absolutely true that the cut on Dorin's right eyebrow has been less of a factor than the cuts around Spadafora's eyes.
Keep him up, both of them. Keep him up.
Straight right hand. Straight right hand. Dorin's just walking in and firing that shot. Here it comes again.
Dorin is doing something I never saw him do before. He's on his toes, moving back and forth, in and out, putting on a big flare, much like he probably did in his amateur fights a lot. The last round is going to be a very exciting round in this fight here. It's a fight look like it's unofficially up in there.
Keep him up.
Man, Dorin is going in and out in boxing, doing what I expect the Spadafora to do.
Again, Dorin backs Spadafora up with the right hand. Spadafora landing combinations inside as Dorin attacks him. Dorin doesn't much care what he takes. It's what he gives that matters to him.
Yes.
Dorin is now bleeding over his
left eye
as well as the cut over the right eye.
You get the feeling Leonard Dorin is not particularly aware of blood. It's not really a part of his consciousness. What an energetic round Leonard Dorin has fought here. No doubt trying to catch the eye of the judges.
Even though they're probably 50-50 for his actual punches landed, he looked good.
It's your whole life, baby. It's your whole life. Get some water in his trunk. It's your whole life.
You're running 4 and 5 at a time and it's stepping out. Come right back with it. You got to work. This is where you work with your heart.
Put some water in there.
We touch gloves in the center.
Thank you, Leonard. Normal friend in the ring, okay? Leonard, speed. Give us some speed, all right?
Okay.
Give us some speed, Leonard. You're okay, man. We're doing the good round. Can you put your left hook with the right hand, Leonard?
And you finish.
Yes, you go in and out on him.
Yes, keep using your jab. That's all.
Listen, use the jab in combinations. A lot of punches, baby. Work up the muscles and throw punches. 5-6 piece combination.
Yeah, grease.
Got it.
You bounce and you explosion. Dig to the body.
To be unified champion, Leo.
Come on, proud of you, man.
For all your family, for all the women in there.
Skeptics questioned whether Leonard Dorin could come to Pittsburgh against Paul Spadafora and expect to be treated fairly by the judges. Dorin's manager, Yvonne Michel, fought to try to get 3 non-American judges. He winds up with 2 American judges, but neither from Pennsylvania, and says that's okay. Harold Letterman, how do you have it coming to the 12th?
Okay, Jim. 106, 103, 7 rounds to 4. Leonard Dorin. Jim, I still maintain that Paul Spadafora is just fighting Leonard Dorin's fight. Dorin gets on the inside and lands some hard and clean shots with the right hand. He's got Spadafora busted up, and one Dorin shot does more damage than 4 or 5 Spadafora punches. The hero of the night, Bob Miller, the Dorin cut man from Albany, New York.
I think they're both busted up, and I have it 6 rounds to 5.
For Dorin, right?
Yeah.
Well, whatever the argument about the judges is proven to be a valid point going into this fight, because it's going to be a judge's call, and whoever wins this fight is going to have to.
Dorin has certainly been the flashier fighter. He certainly landed the big, cleaner punches, but I think he's also taken a lot of shots, particularly to the body. And those eyes weren't cut by the referee.
A battle for credibility for both fighters. As the blood streams down the mask of Leonard Dorin, he fights to try to become Romania's best known and most successful boxer ever. He fights to try to become a star when he goes home to live in his home country. Paul Spadafora fighting to try to prove that his unbeaten record is no mirage, that the adoration of his Pittsburgh fans is well placed. They have fought a pitched battle as they come to the last minute of the fight, and the crowd will take you home from here.
Come on, let's go. All right, turn. Let's go.
I think the referee Rudy Ballas did a great job tonight, too.
Did he ever? Well refereed fight. Blood now freely flowing on Dorin's mask, and still he comes forward and lands a power combination. Spadafora backing up and dropping his hands. It's Dorin who has momentum down the stretch of the fight.
This is a throwback fight. Two young fighters giving it everything.
What will the judges have seen?
I have it a draw.
I like your score, Larry Mitchell.
Good job, baby. Jeff, give me the towel. Come on.
Stay here, man. Watch them off. Watch them off. Stay here, man. We gotta walk around. Okay. Okay, no, you're not. This is very careful. Your guys, but I'm okay. I know you're all right, but I just want you to stand here. Get him out, Get his mouthpiece.
Harold Letterman gave the last round to Leonard Dorin, stretching Dorin's margin on the Letterman scorecard to 4 points. And Larry Merchant, as you heard, differed categorically with Harold and gave the 12th round to Spadafora. And now the question is, what fight did the judges see? And we could hear 3 disparate scorecards here. Once again, Ivan Michel, manager of Leonard Dorin, fought to try to get 3 non-American judges, wound up with 2 from the United States, Gary Merritt of Indiana, Pat Russell of California, and a 3rd judge from Panama, Guillermo Perez Pineda. Leonard Dorin landing 344 punches total in the fight by CompuBox numbers, more than doubling the largest previous number of punches ever landed against Spadafora, more than doubling it. Spadafora landing 259 out of 934. Both fighters threw close to 1,000 punches. And now let's hear the decision from ring announcer Sean Matheny.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Judge Pat Russell scores the bout 115-113 for Leonard Dorin. Judge Guillermo Perez Pineda scores the bout 115-114 for Paul Spadafora. And Judge Gary Merritt sees it. 114-114. We have a draw. Both contestants retain their titles. A draw.
We won the fight.
So both fighters remain unbeaten. Neither fighter walks away with his opponent's title belt. And almost unquestionably, at some point along the way, they'll have to do it again.
I wouldn't mind seeing it again, but...
What a fight in Pittsburgh. There are the final numbers. Spadafora, by CompuBox estimate, landing 259 out of 934. Dorin, 344 out of 951, and seemingly landing the harder punches. Power punches, Spadafora 196 out of 463, Dorin 280 out of 684. Both fighters landing more than 40% of their crosses, hooks, uppercuts, body punches. And now Larry Merchant with the Pittsburgh Kid, Paul Spadafora.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Paul. You fought a terrific fight. Why did you want to stand in front of him and exchange in the first part of the fight?
Because I wanted to out hustle him, and he was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to throw a lot of punches, but I trained to throw a lot of punches and I just wanted to get in my rhythm. Once I get in my rhythm, I can throw punches all night with anybody, just on different angles.
But here you are in arguably the biggest fight of your career, and you fight a fight unlike most fights we've seen you fight before. Why specifically for this? Did you feel that his volume of punches made you have to respond to him?
Yeah, I was prepared to throw a lot of punches, and I didn't think that I could box him the whole night like that. So I wanted to pick up my rhythm and throw a lot of punches and get him out of there. I wanted to cut him and stop him, but it didn't work out like that. You know how it is.
Well, you seem very disappointed by this result. Are you?
Of course I'm disappointed. I thought I won the fight. I mean, they made a big deal about coming in our hometown, and I guess they did. The managers and their promoter did a good job because he come to my hometown, and they were biased towards me. Who do you think won the fight, Larry? Now you be truth.
I call it a draw.
You wasn't watching when I was watching, but I was fighting.
So you score your fights while you're fighting them. Is that it?
I thought I needed to win the last 2 rounds just to win unanimous. And then when I went with the last round, I thought I won big enough to close the show and fought like a true champion, stood in front of them, threw a lot of punches, but they gave it a draw. I feel that when I got that draw, I feel that I don't even want to fight. I want to run it back as soon as possible. Let's run it back. Let's try to unify this. Please, Leonard Dorin's people. Please, Mike Gagery. Let's run it back and see what we can do from here.
Do you feel
this time is even money?
You threw a lot of body punches. Do you feel that you don't get credit for the body punches?
Yeah. I don't get credit for a lot of things that I do good, but that's on me because I don't do a lot of things that I should be doing what I do in the gym, because what I do on the outside of my life, just like the binge eating right after the weigh-in. I'm thinking I made the weight and then I binge eat, but nah, this time I did everything right. I felt strong and I thought I won the fight, but you know how.
Do you think that this fight will change the perception of you as just a pure fighter who wants to avoid punches and peck out a win?
Most definitely. I know. I always knew that I don't just peck out wins. I'm a fighter. I'm gonna fight until I'm gonna adjust. I'm gonna adjust to whatever it takes for me to adjust. I have a lot of dimensions, and I feel that I won the fight tonight. I'm very upset, Larry. I can't even concentrate on the questions that you're asking.
Thank you very much, Paul. Jim?
All right, very quickly, we're going to take a look at the three judges' scorecards. I'm not sure you were able to hear clearly everything that Sean Matheny said. Gary Merritt from Indiana is the one who saw it as a draw, 114-114. Perez Pineda, the judge from Panama, is the one who had Spadafora the winner by a point, 15-14. And Pat Russell of California was the one who had Leonard Dorin the winner, 115-113. And now Larry stands by ready with the guy who got the other half of the draw, Leonard Dorin.
Leonard, congratulations on an outstanding fight. Are you as disappointed as Spadafora that you didn't get the decision?
Sir, cum v-am promis,
like I promised you,
am venit aici să boxez.
I came here to fight.
Îmi place să lupt.
I like to fight.
Și am învățat box din emisiunea dumneavoastră. Când m-am văzut la
televizor. I'm proud to be here with you. That's how I learned boxing.
But asta nu m-a surprins. A fost o luptă între doi campioni.
There were two champions in the ring tonight.
Și amândoi am făcut box în seara asta.
I think we did a good job. Good show.
Were you surprised that he stand and fought with you through much of the fight?
E surprins că a stat în fața ta și s-a bătut cu tine, n-a fugit?
Mi-a plăcut că a făcut asta pentru că am arătat lumii box. În seara asta s-a văzut box la televizor. Adevăratul box.
It was a great show.
He wants a rematch. Do you?
Vrea revanșă.
Anytime.
Thank you for a terrific...
In Canada or in Romania.
Thank you for a terrific fight.
Thank you, sir.
Jim?
All right, thanks a lot, Larry. Emmanuel, I don't fantasize for a second that Leonard Dorin is going to get a chance to fight Spadafora in his hometown of Bucharest, Romania. But I'll tell you what I do think. I think he deserves, after this effort, that the rematch be in Montreal, not in Pittsburgh. What do you think?
Montreal. If not, let's go to Las Vegas, neutral site. But I do feel that they both fought good enough where we should want giving them another big fight on television. It was a good fight. If I was in either corner, I couldn't complain about the decision. I mean, everybody feels that they win. I'm just the opposite when I'm in the corner because, as I said earlier, the fight was going back and forth. It was very difficult to score. It depends on what a judge looked for. But I thought both guys fought very good, and the draw, I think, was a good decision.
Was it the kind of fight that could take something out of either fighter or both because of the number of punches that were landed?
In addition to the blood, yes, I think that was a brutal fight for both guys. And I think that, sometimes you get this and the guys may never be the same.
So is the 33-year-old Dorin more in jeopardy of not being the same than the 27-year-old Spadafora?
No, I think that Dorin, even though he said it 3, I thought he looked good. He looked strong. He was cut, but he looked strong. He had much more energy and much more spirit about him. Spadafora was the one that looked tired and drained and looked more like an older, worn-out fighter.
Good job, Manny. Yeah. Always a pleasure. Well, Larry Merchant, you picked it as a draw, and you're the one with whom the judges agreed. What do you think of my suggestion that the rematch ought to be in Montreal? We haven't been there in a while.
I'd like it to be in Montreal, but Dorin, although he has fought his professional career in Montreal, has never even been a headliner in Montreal. So we don't know if he's a guy who can top a card there. Although I think this fight can sell itself.
Yeah. And your final thoughts on the evening? Jermaine Taylor's knockout as well as what we saw in this fight.
I think we saw two good fights. Jermaine Taylor looks like a serious potential champion someday. Watching Paul Spadafora, I thought of all the old great Pittsburgh fighters. Greb,
Harry Greb, Fritzy Zivic,
Billy Kahn, and they came out at a time when the smokestack industries were so strong here. The steel mills spewed so much soot out into the air that people would change their shirts in the middle of the day, and you had to turn on the city streetlights in the middle of the day. And it was that kind of climate that produced those great fighters. But now in a cleaner and more beautiful Pittsburgh, we have a Spadafora, and if people don't think he's a fighter, I think he showed us tonight that maybe he's not on that exalted level as those great fighters, but he's a fighter.
In the world of boxing, we change our shirt in the middle of the month, whether we need to or not. We'll have a final word on what happened in the ring here in just a minute.